Hello everyone and welcome back to Vintage Speedworks. My name is Marco. Today we're working on my 1974 Honda CB200T. Now in our previous video we painted this tank and it came out looking pretty good. We're just missing the emblems, but those are yet to arrive. In this video we're going to be installing a couple of parts and components that we need to install on this bike before we can sell this bike and send it off to its new owner. So follow along and I'll show you all the components that we're working on this week to get this bike fully up and running. All right, so I've placed all the components here on the floor that we're gonna try to install on the CB200T. Now, as you can see from left to right, we're gonna start with our tire. Now, we need to install a front tire because the front tire on our motorcycle is pretty bad. The rear one is actually in good condition, so we're going to start with that. This one is an 18-inch front tire, and along with it came a brand new tire tube. Now, these actually came with the bike and it's been quite a bit of time since I've gotten them, so I need to go through them and make sure that they're in good condition. Another thing that came with the bike is this new Bike Master chain. Now the chain is brand new, it's old, but it's brand new. It hasn't even, ever been out of the package. So I need to put a little bit of oil on that and get it on the bike. Another thing is our front headlight. Now I haven't placed this back on the bike because there is a little bit of a dent on here. I do have another bike that might have a headlight that we can install in place of this one, but I'm going to see if maybe I can still use this one, or we'll see which one is better. Before I install the headlight though, I do need to work on the wiring for the handlebars, so that might have to wait just a little bit. We have our kickstand that we need to install on the bike. Right now I'm just using the stand for the bike to kind of have it in place. We have some brackets here for the foot pegs, so we're going to be installing those. We probably need to coat those with a little bit of paint first before we can install them on the bike. We have our tool tray here that we need to install. I think these are the rear pegs if I'm not mistaken. And then we have our license plate holder and rear tail light holder that we need to install as well. And then of course we have here our exhaust. Now I only have one muffler. I don't have the other muffler. I have to order the mufflers, so I'm gonna have to detach them from there and only install the headers. Now I had ordered another set of headers, or I guess exhaust tubes. So these I'm going to find the best ones and install the best ones. And of course I have the bracketry here and all the components that I need to do that. We're going to install our shift lever. Now this one has just a piece of I guess that's like garden hose or something. So I need to kind of clean this up and make it a little bit better. And then we have our seat hinge here, and then along with a bunch of other nuts and bolts that we may be needing here. So let me open these up, show you what we have here. So we have stuff for the gauges that we need to install also, and then we have some other miscellaneous stuff there that we need to go. So yeah, let's see if we can try to get all these parts installed on the bike, and hopefully we can get that much closer to getting this bike up and running. By the way, I made this cool little bench for my shop, so I can have my ultrasonic cleaner, so I can have my drill press and other little tools here and there. But yeah, hopefully I can clean this up a lot more. All right, so I'm gonna start by removing this 90mm bolt. This was already kind of loose because I had previously removed the tire. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. There is a washer in here, so I'll kind of wait to push that out. Now that I have it removed, I'm going to try to lift the bike up just a little bit from the front. It is set on the stand that the bike comes with here in the back. So I'm just gonna try to lift it just a bit from the front, just to allow us to get the tire off. go. Okay. It's kind of sketch, but that should be fine. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come to this side and simply tap this out. This bike doesn't have any bolts here, so there's really nothing to kind of remove. So all you have to do is just hit it out and it should come out. So after you remove the axle, everything should drop. Now you want to keep in mind how these spacers kind of go in place. So I'm taking video of this just in case I forget, but this spacer goes to the side with the disc brake, and then there's the other side is actually the side with the I guess this side is the one with the speed miles per hour, I guess, so that you can see how fast your bike is going. It's just a cable that goes to your speedometer, basically. Okay, so now that we removed it, we're going to hopefully make sure that the bike doesn't fall. I don't think we need to remove the brake caliper. I think that should be okay. I don't think we need to remove it. We just need to check on the pads, but those look fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this ready for removal. Now, as you can see, this bike, this tire does actually need a new tire because it's completely falling apart, as you can see right here. Cool thing is made in Japan. So I don't know, this might be the original tire. So it should be pretty easy to remove. So let's go ahead and put it on the floor so we can start removing it. So we have the tire here on the floor next to our new tire, and I'm seeing that it's actually going to be a lot bigger than the one we had on there before. And I mean, as far as the height goes, it is a little bit thicker than the original one, but I think it should still fit. And that's what we're gonna use for now. So I'm gonna start by removing this tire. Now, if this was a bike that we were going to keep for a long time, I'll be honest with you, I would rather just send it to a tire shop to do this for me so they can balance it and get it, you know, back up and running. But this is a budget build, so we're gonna go ahead and do it ourselves. And you can do it yourself too, but sometimes, you know, you need special tools. I have a couple of screwdrivers. I know a lot of people say not to do it with screwdrivers, but mine are actually rounded off. They don't have any sharp edges or anything like that. And then we're removing the tire. Where you want to be really careful is when you're installing the tire if you have a brand new tire. So I'm going to go ahead and go all around the rim, and I'm going to start removing it. This tire still has air, so I should have removed that first. Actually, not that much. Go. We have our old tire out. and we're getting ready to install our new one. Now there is a little band here. Some people like to use electrical tape around here. I like to use electrical tape, but this little seal here that covers basically your spokes, or where you tighten the spokes, the little nuts that tighten to your spokes, these are actually, this one is actually in pretty good condition. There is a little bit of rust here, but it's not too bad. So I might just give it a little bit of a clean and you reuse this same strap here. Yeah, you see, you want to kind of sand down all this corrosion here. And if you don't sand it off, what could happen is once you inflate the tube, if there's little kind of, you know, corrosive metal kind of poking out, it could puncture your tube. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a quick sand, just a little bit here on the inside. And yeah, then we can start installing our new tire. So we got this pretty clean. There is a little bit of rust, but now we've kind of leveled the rust inside of the wheel. You could come through with it and maybe paint the inside of the wheel just to keep that rust from spreading, but in our case, we're not doing that. But I am going to put just a couple of strips of electrical tape. Once this dries, I just kind of use the wet rag to kind of clean it off. But once it dries, because I do want to make sure that this little spoke band here, whatever it's called, I forget what it's called, but I do want to make sure that I keep this from moving when I'm installing. The last thing I want is for this to move, and then you have your spokes exposed, and then you have your tube hitting those as you're inflating and then pinching your tube, and then that could cause a leak in your tube. So we don't want that. I at least just want to keep it in its place while I'm installing the new tire. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of tape all around just to kind of keep it in place. So I think that's good. And now it's time to start installing our new tire. We don't have to worry about the tire tube. We can install that at the very end. So we'll just put that off to the side. Now we do need to check the orientation of this tire. The tire has rotation. It has a way of rotating, so you have to pay attention to how that looks. Just gonna go ahead and clean it up here a little bit. Now this isn't a new tire. This tire had been in storage. It is a new tire in a way that it's never been used, but I don't know how long it's been in storage. I know there's a way of checking, but we're just trying to get this bike to the next owner, and then they can worry about that. You know, we're obviously not passing off this bike as something that is 100% ready to go. The owner will still need to do some work to it, but the rotation of this says it's going this way. So I know my wheel is on the left, or my disc brake is on the left. So I know the rotation has to go like this. So I'll be installing the tire in that way. All right, so to do this, I'm gonna go ahead and just apply a little bit of soap and water. So I'm gonna get my spray bottle, apply a little bit of soap and water all around the tire just to make it a little bit slippier. That way we can install our tire. All right, so to install these, I am still going to use my screwdrivers, I think. Before I do that, I'm going to apply a little bit of water with soap, just all the way around, just to make our tire a little bit more slippier, I guess. Is that a word? Slippier? When we're trying to install it on the wheel. And that should allow us to do so. This is where we have to be careful not to damage the tire, because when we're putting it on, we could damage it. So, okay, so I'm gonna put this aside. Now we need to install the wheel in this way. Okay, so rotation says it's going that way. This actually has to be rotation. Where is the rotation? Okay, so rotation has to be this way. Right, so this is the way that we need to install it. Okay. So I'm gonna try to fit the wheel into this edge here. Okay. Now I'm just doing this by hand. I'm not trying to get both edges into the wheel. I'm simply trying to get one, like you see here, and then I'll work my way all the way around. So it'll only get us to one place. And we need to get this in the middle groove so that we can get as much movement going in as possible. All right, so we're gonna reach a point where we can't anymore. Go. Just need to tighten up our box down. All right, so there we go. We got our tire installed, inflated, and everything looks great. We just need to give it a quick clean, but we can leave that towards the end. So yeah, let's go work on the next thing that we need to put on this bike. But overall, the bike is, the tire is on. It looks good. It does fit. It's a little tight, but it does fit in the wheel. It doesn't seem to rub on the fender at all. So I'm happy with that. So yeah, let's move on to the next step. Now that we're here, we actually need to install our kickstand. So this is very simple. It's just a through bolt that goes through here, and it goes installed in this bracket here, in this area here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I need to paint those, but I just wanted to make sure that they weren't getting in the way of this kickstand, which they're not. So I'm gonna go ahead and just install this one on here. There we go. And then the bolt just comes in through the back. Gonna get rid of all those spider webs. And then it just gets tightened up. I want to say it's a 12 millimeter. Yep. You know, the more I wrench on this bike, the more I like it. But my concern is that this is kind of a small bike. You know, when you're traveling, it is a good city commuter bike, but it just seems kind of small for me. I'm about 6'1", so I'm kind of tall, so you know, I look pretty weird. Well, I mean, who cares? But I look kind of small riding, or I look kind of big, I guess, riding this bike. The bike looks small for me, but it's a cool bike. I mean, somebody who's like, you know, 5'8" or something, you know, I'm sure they would enjoy it. It would fit them perfect. So yeah. All right, cool. So we got that done. I still need to paint these, so I'm gonna have to sand this and then paint it, so that way we can install the footrest. But I'm gonna find something else to put on the bike that's easier, so that way I can leave this towards the end, because it is gonna take a little bit of time, and you know, painting and prepping and everything. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll move to the next step. All right, so I think the next thing that we're going to install on the bike is this tool tray. Now the tool box or the tool tray goes in here, in this general area here. I'll show you right now. But before I do that, I kind of wanted to show you what was inside. So let me just kind of show you what I found. All right, so when I got this bike, there was a small blue pouch inside of the toolbox, and yeah, it actually had the original toolbox or tools inside of the pouch. Now I went ahead and made this, actually I asked my mom actually to make this. She sews stuff, and I told her, hey, you know what, can you sew this for me? And she did, and that way I can go ahead and keep these tools. Now all of these are original Honda tools. It comes with some pliers there. I mean, finding this stuff to me is awesome when working on these old Hondas. You got the spark plug remover here, and I went ahead and cleaned all of these, so that's why they're nice and clean. But I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so all of these tools came. I was gonna put this bike back in the bike, but since we're going to try to just flip the bike and sell it, I'd rather keep these tools, because I don't know, I mean, sometimes if you sell it to the right owner and you know they're gonna keep the bike for a long time, if you know they're real Honda enthusiasts, then I'll go ahead and offer this to them. Otherwise, if I see that they're just trying to buy a bike to kind of learn and stuff like that, then I'll just decide to keep this for myself. So you can call me a little bit selfish, but it's a really cool tool set. I mean, why wouldn't I want to keep it? Right? Install the toolbox. The toolbox actually goes facing this way. It has a little latch here. You press it and that's how it opens, and then you kind of close it. But we need this because I believe these are the holders for our side covers here. So it has two bolts right here, and then these bolts go through the inside. So it's kind of hard to get in now that the engine is there. In retrospect, I probably should have done that before I put the engine in, but you can still kind of get to it. So I'm gonna try to get to it from the other side. But yeah, it goes right here. It gives you access to the toolbox, and then it lets you kind of put your side cover in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get it in through this side and see how that goes. All right, so we got our toolbox installed. Now it's installed in there. Now we can put our tools in here, put all of our stuff that we need to carry on around the bike. And yeah, that's installed. So let's move on to the next thing. All right, so we have a couple more things here that we need to install. Don't mind this stuff. This was from the tire change. The tire is an old one. We need to probably install the mufflers. Some of these have rust, so I have to kind of clean them. So I think we're going to do that We need to install the chain as well. I probably need to cut that to length. So I'll leave that towards the end. But yeah, so I guess let's start working on these exhaust headers here. Now these exhaust headers have a little bit of rust on them. As you can see, they're not the best looking, but I am going to use them anyways. Now this one is the original one. I don't think I'll be using this muffler because I will be ordering a pair from Common Motor, I think. Just universal so they can match. But this one is the right side, I believe. So that one kind of coincides with this one being the same one. And as you can see, this one is rusted, so I'm not gonna use that one. Instead, I'm just gonna use this one, and then I'm gonna use this one for the left side. But notice how it does have a little bit of rust here as well. Not a lot, but I do want to sand this down and kind of get it looking pretty decent so that we can install it on the bike and make it look a little bit better. All right, so I think that's enough for today. We got our footrest painted. We have our kickstand installed. Our front tire is installed. We just need to balance that, but we'll do that at a later time. Our headers are sanded. Now we just need to install them. So I have the crush washers for those, so I'll go ahead and do those. I'm still waiting on the foot pegs to get installed, so I need to do that before I install the headers, just in case there's any interference there or anything like that, which I doubt it, but anyways, we're gonna let that dry. I'm gonna go ahead and also clear coat the side covers that I still need to clear coat tonight, and then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll get everything else installed here. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. We'll see you all the next day, tomorrow. All right, so it's the next day and we have our rebuilt foot pegs here. I just went ahead and rattle canned them black and I think they look pretty nice. Hopefully y'all can see this process, but it's very simple. There is a little slot here with 2 bolts, and that is what holds this little bracket in place. And then there is, if I'm not mistaken, another little bracket here with 2 holes, but then it has a 3rd hole that goes through where the kickstand goes. So I'm gonna have to put it in there. Now there is a flat spot on this one, so I'm not too sure if there is an area that has a flat spot, which I think is this one. So, okay, so I think these gaskets or these little rubber pieces are wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and install them the opposite way here. Yeah, that makes more sense. So I'll do the little crease going down so that way water can escape. And that should mount to this one. So let me go ahead and try that. But before we do that, I'm gonna place this one. If you notice here, there's a little groove. So this groove here is for this bushing here on the foot pegs. So that goes like that. But there is a section here where this section here is flat. So I'm guessing that's where this gasket goes in. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that there like that, like so. And then we can go ahead and install the foot pegs. And then this side actually has a bracket that has 3 bolts. there is a long bolt, a medium-sized bolt, and a small bolt at the end. So from what I'm seeing here, I think the small bolt should go in the front because this bracket has a bigger area, which I think is for this bushing here. So I think it goes in this orientation. So I'm just gonna swap that over to a 10mm for this last bolt here in the front. All right, we got this foot peg up and installed on this side. We have the 3 bolts tightened and installed on this side. So that's it for the foot pegs. I think they came out pretty good. I went ahead and rattle can just spray painted them black. They look decent. They look original. Our kickstand works good. All right, I think it's time to move over to doing the exhaust. So the next thing that we're going to install is our headers. Now these are pretty simple to install. I'm not going to install the mufflers right now because I don't have them yet. I haven't ordered them yet. So I will be ordering those soon. But let me just go ahead and show you how that's gonna look. So I went ahead and kind of polished up our headers here. So I'm gonna go ahead and install them. Let me show you guys how I'm gonna do that. So installation is pretty simple. I already had the washers and the nuts set aside here. They actually were on the bike, as you can tell on the other side. I always like to leave them there because that way I don't lose anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this little flange that the bike uses. As you can see, if you just install it like that, it just falls off. But what needs to happen is you need to have these little washers here, or I guess I don't know what these are called actually, but these go in this orientation like that. And what these do is that it pushes, basically it helps this flange stay in place, but then also push the exhaust header into the head. And the way that they work, we're just gonna place these like that. It just kind of pushes the exhaust into place. Now they do have 2 little grooves here. Those 2 little grooves go lined up with these right here on the flange. And you just find that area where they're kind of located there. Just hold them in place. And before you put it in, we have to install one of these crush washers. Now these crush washers are the ones that go in here, and they basically provide a seal once we install the header. So you want to make sure that it's on there flat. And then you just come in here, install this. Hopefully it all goes in together. Perfect. All right. So once you have that in there, you can see the fitment here. All we have to do is go back, add our little washers here, add the nuts. These are, I believe, 10mm nuts. So we're just gonna snug those up. You wanna do this at the same time to make sure that the crush washer is nice and even. The crush washer is actually made out of copper, I believe. So it's very soft. So when you start tightening them up, they kind of create that seal. Now I'm not going to install these super on there. And the reason for that is because, like, I'm not gonna tighten them all the way. The reason for that is because I'm still waiting on the mufflers to come in. So I don't wanna crush them completely because I need to install the mufflers. I need to make sure I know where the mufflers are gonna go. So if I need to move the header or something, then I might need to do that. So I'm just gonna snug these up a little bit, and that way I can wait for my exhaust to come in, and that way we can get those installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the other side and repeat the process. And yeah, that way we can get a little bit, you know, closer to finishing this bike. Already, I'm gonna go ahead and install the shift lever as well. This shift lever is kind of long. I think it broke at one point because I see like somebody kind of welded it, and they welded a longer piece than usual here. I could modify this and make it kind of like stock, smaller, but I mean, I think it'll do the trick, and honestly, it might be a little bit even more comfortable. It doesn't look too bad. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this one. I wanna make sure that the lever doesn't hit the motor as you're shifting up. So I think that's a good position. And it's not too far down. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tap it in a little bit and then install the Allen bolt. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove these screws here. These are, I don't think that these are JIS, but they look pretty stripped, like somebody had already kind of stripped them a bit. Man, that one is hard to get to with the foot pegs there. I might replace these with some Allen type bolts. But maybe not, we'll see. For now, I think they're fine. You do want to pay attention to the size of the bolts. These two are the same size. Those are the ones that go on the top and the bottom, and then this one is a longer one that goes in the back. Okay, so we have our sprocket here. And that's actually loose. No, that's good. So we have our sprocket there, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the chain guard. These are just 10mm bolts. Just going to take those off and set them aside. Go. And I think there's another one on the other side. actually down here. All right, so now we have our chain guard out of the way. And now we can look at installing the chain. Now I have this Bike Master chain that came with the bike. Like I mentioned before, the bike was actually in a storage unit. It was there for a long time, and the gentleman that was selling it just wanted to get rid of it. He had 2 of these bikes, and honestly, I mean, they were, he had bought a bunch of parts like the chain, the tires, to try to get the bikes up and running again, but he just never found the time. So all these parts are now parts that we can install on the bike. So the chain is brand new. It's just that it had a little bit of oil, and the oil kind of dried out already. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of penetrating oil to this, just to kind of get it back. Well, yeah, let me go ahead and add a little bit of oil just to get it back a little bit more flexible. But like I said, the bike chain is new. We just need to kind of put it on there. All right, so I added a little bit of lubricant to this, and it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and try to install the chain now. We're just going to go ahead and run it through here. Just gonna run it forward. We're gonna wrap it around our sprocket over here in the front. We might not need to remove this, but there we go. If the bike is in neutral, usually you would take off these 2 bolts, and then from there you could, fit the chain in there and then put the sprocket back in. But in our case, since the chain is open, we can just kind of run it through this way, if the bike is in neutral, of course. And we can get away with not removing that. So we're gonna go ahead and move that back. Here we go. All right. So as you can see here, the bolt that we have back here on the axle is not tight. And we wanna back this one out about, have it maybe most of the way out. That way we can move the bike axle all the way to the front, or at least closer to the front. Maybe not all the way, but that way we can have a bit of room to adjust the chain once we have it installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna move it up and leave about maybe like a quarter of an inch in the front gap, and same for the other side. And that way, when we go to tighten up we have enough room when we start to wrench on our tensioner here. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to swing the chain back all the way up. And then here, we want to have not that much of we want the chain to be stretched out as much as possible. But see here, it moved the axle. So I'm gonna say that right here is where we want the chain. That way we can tighten it up and it'll end up right in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that right there. I'm gonna go ahead and mark this link because this is the one that we have to cut. So that way we can install our master link into that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that there. Just double check. Again, it's a little loose, but that's okay because we're gonna tighten the chain back up. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that. All right, so now that we have our chain cut, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and feed it through. Just through here, we're gonna feed it through the front sprocket. Twist it all the way around. And then we're gonna get it to meet up back here. So that's a good size right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the lock. Bring it over here. We're gonna install our master link there. Once we get it there, then we can find the other parts to go here. There is usually like a flatter side than the other one. I put the flat side towards the inside and the rounded off side to the outside. So now we can go ahead and install our lock. And usually with a pair of channel locks or some other pliers, you can kind of wiggle them around and get that lock into place. There we go. All right, as you can tell, the chain is rubbing here. So now we can go ahead and make our adjustments right here in the back. There are some small stripes here and on the other side as well. So we're going to go ahead and move those. There is like a little slot here in the washer that will tell you where you're at. All right, so there you have it. So we installed the chain and it looks pretty good. It's a little bit tight, but I'm sure once we start rolling it around the shop, it'll get a little bit more loose. So if not, we can always loosen this up and make sure it's not too tight, but I'm happy with that. All right, everyone, so I think I'm gonna call it there for this week's video. So we got a lot done. We got our front tire installed, so that's looking very good. We just need to clean it up a little bit. We got our headers installed on our motorcycle. We have our foot pegs installed. We got our tool tray installed, although when I was looking back on the footage, I noticed that it was pretty crummy in here. And yeah, I think I'm gonna take that off and kind of clean it up again and maybe spray paint it inside so that it's nice and clean. So I'll probably do that myself. We got our chain installed here in the back, and yeah, we got our kickstand installed also and our shifter. So overall, I think we got a lot done this week. Stay tuned for next week. We're gonna go through the whole bike. We still need to do a lot of the electrical in the handlebars, electrical under the seat, which we didn't get to this week. There's still a lot to clean up under here, but join us next week as we tackle all of those things, and hopefully we can get this bike done and ready to be sold to the next owner. So if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Please hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video.